And welcome back to The Nose Plays Endless Space 2. We are continuing our game with the United Empire in the name of the Emperor. We will wipe the galaxy clean of all Xenos that do not bend the knee to the all-powerful and mighty Zelivus. And we've already begun our conquest of that feat by, at the very end of the last video, taking on Vene through an invasion fleet. I believe it was either Vene or Leo, one of those two. We conquered through an invasion. It must be Leo because we don't actually have control of Leo yet. You can see that this bar is going to start filling every turn. That will reduce the approval penalty and increase our ability to take control of it. But until then, we're going to be running very, very mutinous, and it's going to take a very long time to conquer this this system because the enemy used defensive tactical retreat, which just is really miserable for us. It just means it takes us forever to get this thing under our control, and it does give them an opportunity to potentially grab it back. So normally the rate of exchange on a system is something like plus 8% per turn, but because of their tactical retreat, it's only plus 4% per turn. So that's unfortunate for us. There's not much we can do about that. It will not wear off, it will not go away until we fully conquer the system. So, excuse me, as unfortunate as that is, there's not much we can do about it. What we can do is just continue to pressure the enemy with our fleets, which we are moving to defend Vene from any type of a retaliation force. I have to be really careful the way that we tackle this next part of the game, because if we're not careful, there is a chance that they can get enemy ships behind us, and that could be problematic for us. We are building the second half of our small but reasonably designed fleet at the moment. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm basically going to have to blockade this, send ships to blockade this, and just kind of play leapfrog. That way I can prevent any enemy ships from getting around me, at least until they have the ability to travel directly and bypass blockades. Which probably will be a while, so I'm not too worried about that. Overall, we're doing pretty good. The one big thing that I kind of goofed up at the end of last video that I wish I had done differently is I wish I had just declared war on them from the beginning. I think that was a mistake, but it didn't have to be a mistake. What made it a mistake was instead of spending the 100-ish influence points to just go to war earlier, I waited for the election, and then I spent 150 points to try to get that for free and failed to do so through the election pressure that we chose to use. At that point, I would have been better off not doing that, because it ended up costing me basically twice as much in influence to get the war that I was going to inevitably get anyways. So I shouldn't have spent the points on trying to influence the election outcome. I should have just let it roll. That probably would have been the smarter thing to do, or even smarter than that would have been just declare war as normal. That would have been good too. I don't know how much there is left for us to do this turn. One thing that we're going to have to pay attention to is our system approval is going to dramatically shift in a few turns. We're getting 50 extra approval from recently colonized or captured systems, and that only lasts for like 5 turns. So we're going to have to do something about that eventually. This is 4 turns away for that next ship. So, yeah. What laws am I running right now? Just the new colony law? Do I need to continue running that at this point? Trader's Reach. Trader's Reach is benefiting from this law. But the other option I have is I could run the Super Tax Act. Because our approval is so high, we could actually get a little bit out of that. We could also run lower fleet costs. Spoils of War is not going to be good until we are sure that we're going to get into some combat with enemy ships. I'm not sure how much I care about running this. At least for the next 6 turns. Maybe I abolish this law for the next 3 turns. And then we'll try to reactivate it before this finishes so we can keep the 25 extra approval rolling on our systems. Did that actually shave a turn off of this? It did. So this will be done in 3 turns now, and this is actually cheaper to buy out. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. Buyout costs are also reduced by that law. So one thing you could do is switch the law, buy something out, and then switch it back. There is a limit to the number of times you can switch laws that way in a single turn, but it is something you could potentially do. I don't think there's anything else I want to do right this second. And we are losing a lot of manpower. This has to do with the fact that we've colonized systems. So as we colonize systems, they start with 0 manpower, and then each turn they pull a little bit of manpower from the global pool. So this is like a big pool of people that we have available that are not assigned to anywhere in particular. They're just kind of floating in the Empire. And then as they get assigned, they get pulled from that pool and deposited into places like this. Planetary Defense Forces, or onto ships as crew members. So that number is going to run negative for a little while. I think it's okay to just end our turn here. We were working on galactic commodities. Okay, show the location. So we actually did get a hack to Hidal. We can jam their commands, force the target to use a unique detrimental battle for 5 turns. So there's quite a few things that I could do here. Embedding a sleeper would be beneficial just because it would give us vision of this system, so we would actually know if there are any ships here or if they're actually making ships. Putting a back door here could also be beneficial because it allows me to run hacks this way at a faster speed, and also prevents us from being traced to a place where we could get some detrimental effects if we did. If you get traced from a back door, it just destroys the back door. There's no way that I have a fleet do an invasion within 5 turns. We want to already have a fleet there. What we're likely to do is we're going to hack this again and then try to have our fleets ready to engage on the turn that it goes down, so that we get 5 turns of invasion with the beneficial battle tactic. That's incredibly powerful. They don't have any heroes here. We could influence their political system, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So really what I'm looking at is, do I want vision right now, or do I want to just create a back door? And I think vision is probably more valuable to me in the short term. Hey, Colin. Good to see you again. I'm having a pretty good day. It's my first day off of a long stretch of days off because of the way my work schedule works. So yeah, it's going well so far. I think we are going to embed the sleeper. Now we can see what they have. So they're making a colony ship. That's not very dangerous for us. I don't know where they would send it other than the opposite direction. That does mean, though, if they get another colony down, we're going to have more of these guys to clean up, which is fine. We wanted to play a military and aggressive strategy this playthrough, so I'm okay with that. I don't have any vision of this system though, so I can't tell what their fleets look like just yet. That's interesting. How did that happen? Huh. So that bolter shouldn't have gotten completed because I had it queued up behind the other one. I'm not sure why it did. I don't recall moving it. That's really bizarre. I actually do have a theory as to why that worked, but it still doesn't make a ton of sense. So what I think happened was there was only a very, very small amount of industry required to complete that construction. When we switched the law to reduce the cost by 15%, it actually brought it below the cost in industry, but influence, the cost for calculating the influence buyout, slightly different formula. That might have been why. It's not the worst thing ever. It just means that I'm going to go ahead and get this one moving a little earlier, and they won't move as a pair. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it again. I'm glad other people enjoy watching me play. And now that I have my hardware working and my microphone issues mostly resolved, we're going to try and see if we can't get some more videos made in the near future. There probably will be some time coming up here where that is not so true because I'm going to be moving, and so we'll see how the move affects my situation. But I'm planning, once I get moved in and settled in near the end of the year, to build a brand new computer. I build computers as a hobby, and so I'll build a really nice computer specifically designed for my YouTube channel, and hopefully that will improve the quality and the frequency with which I can do some of these things. So that'll be fun for everyone. Let's see here. So here's a situation where I can maybe accelerate things just a little bit. What I want to do is not scrap these ships, but disband these ships so that they're not grouped together. And then I can create separate fleets. Send one fleet down, and then the other fleet can go ahead and blockade. This will give me an indication if there's anybody on this lane. Once this ship makes it all the way down, if we don't see anybody as we move down the lane, we can blockade this star system, and we can move this ship to follow up, play the whole leapfrog game that I was talking about before, and that will ensure that no enemy ships can get back here without our knowledge, or without at least being slightly contested. So that's why I'm doing that the way I am. The cost of these ships is really starting to affect us, but I'm not too worried about it. We are going to have galactic commodities, and we do have some commodities to sell. So once we're able to sell some of these off, we can make way more money than the minus 27 dust a turn. Also, once we get a few of these buildings, Cerebral Reality's done. It's possible. It'll just depend on how easy it is for me to get my new setup up and running. I'm pretty reliant on my computer for entertainment, so it will be a priority to get it up and running again, and then to get a new one built at some point. But yeah, there's a possibility while I'm in transition that there could be no videos for a little while. But that's nothing new for my channel. I just tend to disappear for months at a time, so unfortunately that happens. Let's see. What else do I need to consider this turn? Our manpower is really low. One thing we could do with the manpower situation is we could potentially I don't have any people here. Oh, and I don't have that technology yet. Never mind. That was my other playthrough. I was going to say, one thing we could do is we could do this. Chain Gang program creates 300 manpower from a single population pip. There are times where that's really beneficial to do. This might be one of those times, but we don't have that technology yet. In this playthrough, I didn't actually unlock that one. So we're going to have to wait a few turns before we can do that. Law-wise, we're still working on a fleet, so I am going to continue to run that, but I want to keep an eye on this. This is 6 turns away, and I'm not going to use my dust for that. 2 turns, so next turn we'll want to finish this off. I definitely do not want to finish this one off, because I don't want to pay the upkeep cost for a ship that I have very little use for. There's one subtle exception to that, and one thing I could potentially do with this ship. Thanks, Cullen. I appreciate that. So one thing that I've been thinking about that I haven't come to a conclusion on yet is there's a situation where when you have a system like this, you're able to colonize planets, and the amount of time that it takes to colonize that planet is 9 turns. And when you get that done, it'll pull a population pip from this system and move it over here automatically. You can always move it back, you don't have to leave it there. But an alternative option that I have thought about is you can actually design a settler ship with no modules. And it will be relatively cheap. So let's create this one. We call it the colony. Colony or colonizer, something like that. And then we'll make it the colony class ship. And where's it at? This is the other. And that's the only thing we're going to put on it. So it costs 125 industry. No engines because it's not going to fly anywhere. And what you can do with that ship, that takes 15 turns to produce versus 9. I was going to say, if this is actually cheaper to produce than straight up colonizing, then this might be a better way to do it. Well, actually, hold on a second. See, this only takes 2 turns to produce versus 5. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to put this in the place of this, because that's a 5 turns. I think you're able to colonize these with a colony ship, even though I already have a colony on this system. So we're going to test that out. That's a cheaper way to get your planets inside your system colonized, and it's particularly more cheap if you're running the military law that makes building ships cheaper. So that it reduces the cost of this even more. So we'll try that and see if it works. And then I can get this colonized a little bit quicker. I'll start pulling in some more blue cap mold. And we'll have more population slots when we start to fill out and we need to move people over. And then that also means that it does make some sense to finish this off, because even if I can't use this to settle a new system, I could use it to colonize another planet on one of the systems I've already acquired once we get the resources or the technology to do so. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. The other thing we could do, yeah, maybe we'll do that. Alright, do I have anything else that I can run this turn, or that I need to think about this turn? I don't think so. Actually, I do want to check this. Okay, we are still getting the extra approval for the time being. Oh, that's right, our hacking operation. We want to get a new hack to Hidel, and we probably already want to run encryption on Vinny at the very least, and maybe even Leo, but I might as well run encryption on both. That'll make it a lot harder for them to hack my capital. And then it's going to take 8 turns to get there. I mean, there's nothing else to do, so we might as well do that. Alright, ships have already moved. End the turn. Pay attention as this one's traveling, make sure we don't see anything. I did not see any enemies. Looks like our patrol ship got caught by pirates. We kind of figured that might happen eventually. I'll just retreat. That's fine. Let's see, where was that at? So, yeah, we're being chased. We're probably going to get caught. But he's done his work, and we'll get some new patrol ships made here shortly. Not a big fan of this constellation. Okay, so as it stands right now, this ship should make it here before anything could make it down this lane. So I can actually take him off and send him down the lane now. And then this one will take over defensive duties. This one will make it here in 1 turn, and we'll set up defensive duties here. And then we'll start to congregate on that star system, or that star node, or whatever this is, M104. That's where we'll kind of set up all of our ships and stack them up. And then hopefully have our hero before too long. That is something that I wanted to look at. For my next technology, I think maybe we either grab efficient shielding. No, what I really want to grab is we need to get this unlocked so I can get the blue cap mold. Once I get the blue cap mold, that's going to solve our science issues. It'll make science a little bit faster at this point in the game. As far as which one of these do I want to grab next, I need to grab one more from this tier 2. And you might think Astrofinance would be good. I really don't like any of these buildings that provide per population boosts to your fidsies. And the reason for that is, at the early game, populations just suck. Your population size is too small to make this warranted. With very, very few exceptions do you ever want to worry about these things. Now, once you hit the mid to late game and your capital cities like starting to fill out all of the planets, then yeah, these buildings become a more effective means to get things. But in the early game, like the first 50 turns or so, they're just really bad, so you should probably avoid them. This one could be nice because of the ability to buy things out. It can really accelerate you in some ways, especially if you have income. Right now, our income is not great, so this building can solve that problem if you can get it down on, say, your capital. That can be like 50 to 75 dust pretty early, depending on how fast you move up and get system developments rolling. So that's an option, but it does take a lot of industry to get it built. And then over here, the ability to colonize Ash Worlds is nice, and the approval thing is going to be something that's going to start to play a role for us as well. But more importantly, by taking this technology, it's going to streamline this technology. So what that means is this chain will decrease the cost of getting this technology, and lava worlds is definitely something we want to prioritize because we have 2 lava planets in our main system. There are also a couple of ash worlds in the Riftborn systems that we might want to be able to take advantage of. I'm pretty sure I saw that earlier. So we'll definitely utilize this technology relatively quickly, but the most important thing that getting this is going to do is it's going to unlock the ability to get blue cap mold down. So I think I'm going to queue that one up next. You can see this bar filling up. When this bar fills all the way up, that means we have full control of the system. Again, this is going to take quite a while because those dirty Riftborn chose to use the tactical retreat. I don't think there's anything else to worry about this turn. I do want to periodically just check this, because as soon as that approval changes, I probably want to shift some of my stuff around. Alright, so that got cut in half because we got this building constructed finally. And this bolter is now constructed and can move. We'll get him moving down the lane. Or not. I'm having a real hard time getting ships to actually move. Like, I'm mousing over this, and it's not showing an option to move. There we go. I don't know, that's weird. It's been bothering me for a couple days now. I can't decide if it's my mouse or something in the game that's causing that to happen. We're 4 turns away from this now. And I am going to go ahead and get this done. Question is, do I want to buy it out? I don't think I want to buy it out. We'll just do it in 2 turns and then I can get this. That will also increase our industry, hopefully, if it works the way that I'm hoping it will. And I'm pretty sure it does because I've done it before. We did discover this node. That's good. We want to not stop here. We want to keep moving. So I'm actually going to queue up his movement so he just keeps moving. And that way the pirate ship shouldn't be able to catch him. And I might be able to get a little more scouting done before that ship gets destroyed. Which, let's be honest, that's more than likely what's going to happen to him. Alright. Yeah, we're not going to buy it out. I've decided that using our industry is more important. We want to stockpile this for other things at this point, so. Alright. This ship needs to be blockading. This ship needs to be blockading. And actually, because this ship's blockading, the ship can probably start moving. They're 1 turn away from getting this completed. So that's interesting. If they send that ship this direction, our blockade should just destroy it. Or at least cause it to retreat. Alright. Our hero has made another level. At this point, I think we're going to want the food and industry, because now that we have 2 planets, we have more population slots to fill out, so we might as well start taking advantage of that a little quicker. We don't really have a lot. This is basically 10 dust. This is 5 industry and 5 food. I would rather at this point in the game have 5 industry and 5 food. That also increases over time. This technically could get a little bigger, and once we get the lava planets unlocked, that's going to be worth a little bit of extra dust, but this is going to be worth a lot more in the long run. So we'll go ahead and apply that. right into that. Now that we have the marketplace, we can kind of see what other people have been doing. So there's a fair amount of titanium and hyperium on the market. And then red sang and dark glitter are both on the market in moderate quantities. Everything else is pretty small quantities, not enough to buy a booster. System development. So we're stuck at the moment with what we have. I don't think I need to run that law anymore. And this is going to be done in 3 turns. So I could keep running this for 1 more turn, or we could run a different law. One thing that would actually help is cram for exam, at least for 1 turn would help. Maybe shave a little bit of time off of this, but it's certainly not going to affect... Oh, never mind. This is the turn we lost everything. So cram for exam is 10, that's only 58. Yeah, 58. So actually this isn't hurting us at all. But we could run Toys for Boys instead. It will reduce our industry output slightly, but it would increase the output of everything else. How much science are we actually getting from cram for exam? Does it show me here? Yeah, it's not really showing me, but it's what, +3 per population, so it's 15. Yeah, that's probably fine. We'll just run this for a couple turns. 2 turns to be precise. We almost have our fleet ready. It's 6. Oh, 18. You are correct. It's 6 per population. Alright, so we should be able to use him. I need to get to the right screen. This view. Click on the ship. Colonize fleet action. Ah! So this is not a way to cheat the system, because it's not going to actually let me colonize this with this. System is already colonized. So that's unfortunate. That's something that I wasn't sure. I'm pretty sure that I tried this at one point in the game and it did work, where you could use a colony ship to colonize a planet that you had already created a colony in, but hadn't moved to yet. But let me just double check. Yeah, it's not because I did that. Okay, well... What do I do with you? I have some thoughts on what we can do with this ship. Yeah, I have some... Well, we don't have the manpower to pull off what I want to do. So, what I'm thinking of doing with this ship instead is... like, maybe something like this. And then an engine. Yeah. Maybe something like that. Turn it into a ship that we could actually utilize for manpower deployment. Unfortunately, we don't have the manpower to do this. We need to restock our manpower. And that's only going to take longer once Trader's Reach gets completed. So we'll just close this in. not confirm that design. I guess for the time being, we'll just disband this and leave it in our... So that was an educational moment. One thing I will say, so using ships to do the colony thing may not work. There is a case to be made for, in a lot of times, like for example this, lifeform curiosity will eventually be unlocked. Instead of researching the lifeform curiosity in your industry queue here, it's oftentimes cheaper to just build a very, very cheap scout ship and use probes, and then you have a ship. What you do with that ship may or may not be very valuable, but it'll cost you essentially the same amount of industry, but you permanently have another resource that you can use. Now, that being said, ships do have upkeep costs, which can be detrimental, but generally speaking, having an extra ship for the same amount of industry as just researching one of these is usually the better call. Especially if you can build it really cheap and then upgrade it later to something useful. So that's something to keep in mind. We are going to go ahead and get drone networks, and then after drone networks, I am going to go ahead and get this colonized. I was hoping that we could just use this, and we should be 2 turns away from that, and it might actually only be 1 turn away. So I am going to go ahead and abolish this and grab this because this is 20% extra. It's probably not enough to drop this a turn. Yeah, not quite, but that's okay. Alright, anything else that I need to do? Everybody's moved as much as they can. We can just double check that they do have that ship here. And next, they're building a machine embodiment. So they're creating population on this system to replace the one that they just stole from their ship, I believe, is how that works. I have not played a lot with the Riftborn. I'm only vaguely familiar with their mechanics based on SB's playthroughs with them, so I know kind of how they work, but I don't think I've actually queued up a single game with the Riftborn. And it's not because I don't like them. I think they're kind of a cool faction, just like aesthetically, but they are a little bit complicated, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So maybe the Riftborn are the next faction that I play with in a playthrough, if I don't do some of the other ones that people have suggested. By the way, I did read your suggestions in the last video, for those of you who posted. I believe somebody asked me if I would play Crusader Kings 2. I'm pretty sure that's what they were referencing, and I have never played any of the Crusader Kings games, nor do I own any of them. But that's not to say that I won't check them out at some point. But there are some other games that I definitely would like to play on the channel again, and maybe for the first time. And then somebody else suggested that I play with my favorite faction, which they thought were the Vaulters, and that is 100% correct. You win the grand prize of me saying, yes, you know my favorite faction. Vaulters will always and forever be my favorite faction. They're the entire reason that I got into the Endless games, because I really loved the aesthetic of Endless Legend, but particularly the Vaulters in that game. Which led me to buy Endless Space 1 because the Vaulters were in that game, and then Endless Space 2 also. Okay. Yeah, Crusader Kings 2. I'm pretty sure that's what I was talking about, right? So I guessed, because I don't know what CK2 means for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what you were referencing. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. Let's see, what else do I need to do here? We already took care of that. I'm not going to sell anything just yet. How many turns till this guy makes it down here? 3. And how many turns till this gets finished? 4. So we actually might do an invasion here with our 4 ships, providing support. Because I think we're going to be able to jam radar, or do the jamming hack, right around the turn that we're going to be able to get an invasion fleet on top of them. Looking forward to that, actually. It's been kind of a slow first few turns. Hostile trace detected. I have actually some of the very first videos I ever recorded were Endless Space 1. They're probably still up on the channel, so you could go back and watch those. They were really bad. I was really bad at it back then. I don't know that I'm much better now. But I've definitely improved since my early days playing the game. Those videos were literally where the name TheNosePlays comes from, because there was a really, really distinct nose whistle throughout most of those videos. And I just basically decided that I had to make fun of myself before anybody else did. So yeah, it's all about the nose on this channel. Fun drinking game if you want to end your life quickly is take a shot every time you hear my nose whistle. That will do it for you. Please don't do that. That was a joke. It depends on the season. I have seasonal allergies a couple times a year. Oh, you mean just in general I'm better? Yes, I agree with you. I'm definitely much better than I was at the very beginning. But yeah, the nose whistle gets better occasionally too, depending on the season. Alright, so we definitely have the ability to perform this invasion now. We're going to go ahead and merge all of these guys into a single fleet. That's going to give us, if I click on the right thing here, 270 manpower plus another 90, so like 360 manpower. Unfortunately, I don't have the manpower I need to create tanks, which is what I really needed to do before we invaded. But we do have the dust to buy this out, which is why I was saving the 600 dust in the first place. Also because we were running at a deficit and I just wanted to have some... But if we wanted to do this, this is going to cost us 250. And I don't have 250 manpower to modify this. Yes, that is correct. 2 videos 3 years ago. That was the very beginning of my channel. So my channel is approximately 3 years old. More like 2 years old, really, because I didn't really do a lot of recording back then. I was just sort of testing the waters to see if I could. Mostly being inspired by SB's work and wanting to emulate him because he was really, really good at this. And I wanted to see how difficult it was. And I'll tell you what, after doing those videos, my appreciation for what SB does has skyrocketed. Like, it's pretty impressive how many games of Endless Legend that he's recorded and how reliable of a schedule he keeps in recording. But after having done it, just talking to yourself, essentially, for like an hour or two at a time, and being able to carry on a conversation constantly like he does is really hard. The early days, and even some today, there'll be moments in my videos where I just stop talking and start playing the game, and then like 10 minutes will go by and I haven't said anything to the camera, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to be interacting with this game a little more. So hopefully that doesn't happen as often as it used to. But that was one of the big things that really caught my attention as to how hard this can be. So it looks like we found a pirate colony over here. And there's a couple of... I wish we could have stopped here and thrown a probe that way, because I'm pretty sure that's where the vaulters are at. And they're going to be our next nemesis once we finish off these Riftborn. There's a chance that I run into another pirate ship over here too. Also, out of curiosity, okay, so this is Ursa, which is a pretty big constellation, and it gives extra dust if you have control of it, which we are actually about to have control of with this. I'm assuming that's true. It may not be until this one actually completes, but this one should finish next turn. So yeah, there is that. Okay, when is this hack gonna get completed? 5 turns. The trace is in 5 turns. When does the hack get completed? curious. No, you're fine. If you have important things that you want to talk about, feel free to just throw them out there. I would rather have some good conversation to keep me busy than just completely focusing on the game, because, let's be honest, I'm pretty good at the game, but I'm not perfect at this game by any sense. The one thing that I am good at, though, is I'm really good at finding cool strategies and unique ways to take advantage and leverage certain systems of the game that I understand well. And giving you guys that information can help improve your games. That's what I'm all about, is helping you find new ways to play. So, I still don't know how many turns this is going to take. I thought... I'm definitely a tea guy. 100%. I do drink coffee occasionally, but mostly a tea. My favorite tea is Irish Breakfast. It's a dark black tea. Very robust. I don't know how many turns that's going to take, but we might be getting the dust bonus now. Ooh. I don't really want any of these things. I'm going to have to minimize this and think about this decision. I don't really want religious ideology or scientific ideology, so neither one of those is beneficial to me. The approval penalty might be inconsequential, but it's for like 20 turns. We did just get a 25-point boost for a few turns, but that's not going to last for very long. Also, this system needs to immediately be colonized. This is the most important thing, and this is something that I might actually consider buying out. Because Terran are temperate. Wait a second. That's kind of weird. Why is this Terran planet not temperate fertile? I thought all Terran planets were temperate fertile. Did they change that? No, this one is temperate fertile. I don't think I've ever seen a Terran planet that is not temperate fertile. I did not even know that was a thing that was possible. I'm really confused right now. The reason I wanted to get this down so fast is because temperate fertile makes this building super efficient. But this one is fertile, so this is worth 20 industry here, so maybe this isn't as critical as I thought. That's 11 turns. That's 6 turns. We'll start with like this and worry about the rest later. Okay. Extra vision. We've already done that. Okay, I'm aware of that now. Did he make it? Not quite. Yeah, we did get caught by pirates again. I think we can retreat one more time because we've gained some health back. Potentially. It looks like we're higher than we were. Nope, not enough. Okay, so he's done for. Still did a pretty good job of getting most of this uncovered. I think we are going to go for this. Science, political ideology for 20 turns isn't terrible. 10 turns of approval is bad, but not awful. We're going to get 5 turns of bonus approval, so we'll be okay. And then, depending on how fast we take this system, we might be even better. So, alright, so now the question is, I still don't know how many turns this is going to take. Total turns remaining 4, progress 4. Yeah, I'm not certain. I'm not certain if we're going to get that completed. But one thing we could do is we could blockade their system with this fleet of 3. And then this guy can make it there in 1 turn. Then that'll work just fine. We could start the invasion now, but I actually want to hold on for a couple of turns if possible. So we're just going to blockade for now. That's going to lower their defenses slightly for the couple of turns that we do it. Probably not enough to really swing the battle, but to the best of my knowledge, the way that this number is calculated, the amount of manpower that they lose per turn is based on the command points of your fleet times 2. However, it will not count ships that have no weaponry, and you can also influence it through things like heroes and those A2S titanium probes. So that number can change quite a bit depending on how all of those things get added together. But for simple math at the early game, it's double your command points. So we have 3 command points worth of ships on this fleet, so it will reduce the population or the military defenses by 6 every turn. When this ship reaches here, that'll be 4, and it should go to 8 per turn that it will be removing. Also, from this position, I don't have any probes, so we won't be able to scout what could be coming, which is unfortunate. So here's an interesting predicament that you will encounter in a military situation. As we're sieging this system, we're reducing their manpower every turn. If we want to invade their system, we can launch an invasion. However, if there are any enemy fleets that enter this space before we click the invasion button, it will prevent us from invading until we've destroyed all of their ships. And there's the potential that your ships get lost through attrition in the firefight, which reduces the amount of your invading force. So there is a case to be made right here that I should actually invade right now to prevent them from massing a fleet or sending a fleet over here to stop me from invading, blowing up half of my ships even if we win the fight, and then not having enough of an invasion force to actually invade with. I am not sure that there's any chance that we're going to collect enough manpower to actually get the tanks. And so the other option that I have is we could just increase the health of our infantry and hope that that's enough. We also actually have enough to increase the damage of our infantry. That's the same 600 dust we were going to pay here. It utilizes resources that we're not currently using for anything else. And it does actually make sense if I do this now to go ahead and launch my invasion. I'm very tempted to push this. I think we're going to go ahead and do it. Now, this is still 4 turns away. I don't... Are we going to get there in time? How far has the trace moved? Okay, the trace has only moved to here. But if I start the invasion now... Yeah, let's go ahead and start the invasion now. And what we'll do... Okay, so this is an important aspect that I'm not sure I paid much attention to in the last fight. So, let's talk about how these numbers all work out. So right now, we have a maximum amount of troops. 270 total troops. That's the total number of troops that we have assigned to this battle. We have 0 troops in reserve, and this number here actually represents our cap. So this is the maximum number of troops that we can deploy in a single engagement. Notice that if I switch this, the cap changes. So the default cap for where we're currently at technology-wise is 675 troops. So 675 troops is the most that we can deploy at default. If we run Blitz, Blitz increases that cap by a certain percentage, and it has some other secondary effects. So we could actually send more troops into a single battle with Blitz. Or we could do preemptive bombing. This lowers the number of troops that get deployed, but it adds some upfront damage from orbital bombardment. So we'll actually reduce their total amount of defenses a small amount with bombing before we engage. One thing to keep in mind about this tactic versus guerrillas, preemptive bombing versus guerrillas is always preferable if the main thing that you want to do is destroy the enemy. So if you're just trying to kill them and just trying to win, this is going to be better than this, as long as this number is smaller than this number. Because what happens is, let's say I have 270 troops. Well, that's less than 506, so I get free extra damage with my 270 troops that attack. If I go guerrillas with 270 troops, I don't get the free extra damage, and I don't get to actually deploy more troops, because I'm already below the cap. What I do get, however, is troops will have slightly higher health, and they actually do less damage. So this is kind of like the one you want to use in very weird situations. I haven't found too many situations where guerrillas makes a ton of sense, but there are a couple of situations where it can. But this is definitely not one of them. And then Blitz is obviously if you just have massive amounts of manpower to drop and you just want to get more people on the field, you want a battle to end faster, this is one of the ways to do it. One of the things to keep in mind is that they have the potential to beat us in this fight. And right now they have 200 manpower, but they can actually use the recruit more people battle tactic, and they'll burn one of their populations to do that, but they could have up to 20 more troops on the ground than us. But because we took those bonuses of extra damage and extra health on our troops should perform admirably, and then the bombing should help thin that out if they do take that battle tactic. So I'm actually not too worried about losing this fight. I think we're probably going to win, and probably win handily. It would be nice if that trace would get done already, because it would make this a lot easier. But we'll go ahead and watch this battle. There's not much to watch. It's just interesting to see how the battle takes place. So we're going to preemptively bomb first, And they did not draft, so preemptive bombing killed 20% of their troops on the ground. Then our troops attack. And then the remaining troops of theirs retaliate. And there you go. So we lost a small number of our troops, but they lost a lot more. We're going to go ahead and continue this engagement. And next turn, we'll be able to drop even more troops because this ship will arrive and we can group them up. So I think this system's pretty well ours at this point. There's not a lot that they can do to stop us from winning this invasion. They could do another tactical retreat, which would be really annoying if they did. And that would just take us a lot longer to take over this system. But it also allows us to get our ships and just move straight to their capital. So they'll probably draft some more troops from their population and try to hold us off for a little longer. But we'll see. Do I have anything that I want to do over here? I'm thinking no. This law doesn't need to be running anymore because Trader's Reach is now done. We're not building fleets at the moment. Spoils of War is unnecessary. That was a good battle. Yep, 40 lost, 105 killed. And that was the advantage of taking the upgrades. I think the upgrades really helped minimize our losses while maximizing theirs. I might run Toys for Boys. I might do it. Toys for Boys is going to push 1, 2, 3 systems into the next tier. And actually, 2 systems, 2 tiers, and 1 system, 1 tier in approval. I think that's totally worth it. I really like Toys for Boys. I think it's one you should run a lot. So now we've got everybody in the ecstatic, which is giving us significant quantities of food, dust, science, and influence. Remember, approval in this game does not affect industry. And Toys for Boys actually does have a negative penalty to industry, but that's fine. This is problematic. I did not see how close we were to being completely out of dust. After spending 600 on our troops, that certainly hurt the coffers a bit. And we don't really have a good way to get more money through buildings. But we do have luxury resources. And in 2 turns, we're going to be able to use some of this. Are we collecting this, or was this just a cash? So we can sell this off. If I sell all of that, it's only 121. Do I have any use for it? I don't think I do. So we'll just sell it. So that'll give me a little bit of breathing room. And then we also have our titanium and hyperium deposits that we can sell off if we need to. I am not bringing in any hyperium at the moment, so I'd rather not sell that one off. Transvine actually just got a bunch dumped in the market, so the price of it's actually really low. And then deciduous trees also could be an option for us. If we had any dust, we could buy up some of this and use it as our booster, and that would certainly solve our money problems in the short term. But I think we are going to go with the science since we already have it. And I'll just have to see in 2 turns how much it costs. I'm pretty sure it's 20. So +2 Calgary on Leo. That's actually not bad. And we're just going to preemptively bomb again. There's a distinct possibility that they recruit more troops, but if they don't, they've certainly lost the system. The other option is if they don't protect the system and they don't draft, they could do the tactical retreat again, which would just give us the system but make it really annoying for us to take full control of it. So we'll go ahead and fight this again. Actually, before I fight this, I want to see if getting this ship over here will actually change those numbers at all. So if I merge those guys together, it doesn't look like we get credit for those troops this fight. That's unfortunate. So this actually triggers before that movement. Okay, well, either way. We'll have some losses, but we'll replace those losses with another ship worth of troops. And they did protect the system again, so they're probably just dead. The bombing it by itself will kill almost half of them, and then my troops should wipe them out. Yeah, and that's the end of that. So they're not even going to get a retaliate. So after watching that, it's interesting how troops that are killed still get to combat. You saw the two troops that move forward and attack before they actually died, even though they had taken lethal damage. That's interesting, the way that it calculates all that. I'll have to think about if there's anything that I can do to take advantage of some of these details. Also, I know tanks and airplanes fight in a different order, so it's not like one side versus the other side. Yeah, 10 lost, and we're going to get quite a bit more. We're going to get like 45 more here in a moment, so... That should be our system, right? Yeah, okay. So we did capture it. It still has 3 population of Riftborn, no less. And we definitely just want to occupy it. And then we'll see here that this is now +8, -8, so it'll happen significantly faster than that other system. As far as resources are concerned, I kind of want to get... It really doesn't matter. The disapproval is just really, really bad right now, so it's sort of irrelevant to worry about it. Food is actually not that important for us. Well, I really want to get my money sorted out, so we're going to put Cerebral Reality first. And we'll get these other systems done. And then taking a look at our ships, we still have 241 of the 360 manpower that we started with. Keep in mind, 90 of that just arrived and didn't even get to participate in the battle. So we did lose some of our fleet or forces, but not a lot. And I think we're just going to stay here for a turn. Also, our hack got canceled because it didn't actually get finished in time. And I actually have enough to run encryption on this system as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then I can hack. Now I don't want to hack from here to here because that's too likely to get traced. But if I hack from here to here, that'll take 9 turns. So I can basically move my fleet on top of their capital and just siege it down for a little while. And then once this hack completes, we can go ahead and take over their capital pretty easily by using the battle tactic that allows us to fight with a strategic advantage. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and approve that. And then the only thing I'm going to have to look out for here is, can we make this in 1 turn? And the answer is maybe, but not this turn, right? Because he just arrived, so half of his movement is already used. Okay, so we'll just wait 1 turn here. And actually, I want to wait a couple turns here because we want to recharge all of our troops. And we're only gaining back 14 a turn at the moment. So that's going to take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to take like 8 or 9 turns. That's too long. I'm not sure how we're gonna resolve that, but I could start getting this ship moving. I just don't have anywhere for it to really move yet. One thing that we could potentially do... Yeah, unfortunately this hull design has no ability to equip probes, so I can't even use it as a scout ship. That's unfortunate. One thing I was going to say is we could build a scout ship and start throwing probes out and try to get one of the other constellations uncovered, which would make it a lot easier for us to potentially, you know, find some other territory to colonize with our colony ships. Also, just out of curiosity, we're at 5 of 7. Once we hit 7, we need to start paying attention to the approval penalties that we get for going beyond 7. But up until you get to 7, you basically want to rush there as fast as possible. Grab as much territory as you can that's reasonably good to take. Don't be too picky until you hit this limit. And then once you hit this limit, you can be a little bit more picky. But it's perfectly okay to go over it as long as you're paying attention to your approval and not crippling your outputs. From disapproval penalties. Alright, this is going to help us a lot right here. Because now that this is done, we can run this again. We'll come back to that. But more importantly, we want to get this done. And it's only going to take 20. So I actually have enough to do this twice, and if I buy 3, I can do this 3 times. And we only have 3 systems, right? 1, 2, 3. I guess technically I've got Leo and I've got Hiddo. But I don't really think it matters which 3 we do it on. Marketplace. Blue cap mold. Wow. 3 blue cap molds going to cost me 222 dust. I could buy it out in influence, but we could just wait a turn and get it that way as well. So we'll go ahead and grab that for that system. And then I think Vinny, maybe? And Vinny actually hasn't finished this. Wow. We're still working on that? I'm tempted to just buy Xeno Industrial out here. It's worth 20 industry. That's a lot for this system. Yeah, I'm going to buy that out. That'll make everything else happen a little faster here. I didn't realize how slow we were moving here. We're going to need public-private partnerships. And nothing else for the moment. Okay, technology-wise, what are we looking at here? I have a quest that we need to complete that requires a better ship than what I currently can build. So, I'm thinking we probably go efficient shielding and get this unlocked. Other options would include xenology, or the food buildings. I need 2 of these to unlock the next tier. This one is really good because this is one of the few planetary specializations that I would highly recommend considering, especially if you are a faction that likes to run lots of expensive laws. What this does is it's one of the very few ways that you can increase your influence output significantly. And remember, influence is incredibly effective for the United Empire, but it's really useful for everybody in terms of running laws and stuff. So one option is I take this, but the other option, Mr. Walsh is pointing out, is maybe we go for the food? Food would help our populations grow quite a bit once we get these buildings done. But more importantly, our ships are kind of good enough to skip this technology altogether and move straight into the tier 2 ships. And so I could take like botanical scanning and xenology and just ignore efficient shielding. The only concern I have with that is it's going to continue to delay when we get our hero out, because one of the things that's holding us back is we don't have the weaponry or the ships capable of producing a powerful enough ship to unlock our hero. The quest is build a hero with certain amount of attack power. The other way to get to that would be maybe to take something like focused plasma. This would give us basic swarm missiles, but it would also unlock things like phase beams and decay torpedoes, and these would certainly be enough to get a single ship made. And I only need one technology to pull that off, where I need two over here. Also, we could build the A2S slugs, and I could then use that colonizer ship for something useful. I could turn it into an A2S slug dispenser. So let's grab this next. It's also only going to take us 3 turns to get that, and I think that's the right call. Alright, is there anything else I need to be aware of or focused on? I want to keep an eye on this fleet and see when we get our manpower capped. We want to be aggressive with this fleet and get it over there. The other option that we have is we could fly it over here, deploy the manpower, fly back and start refilling, or I could do it in waves of 2. So send 2 ships over, deploy their manpower, have the other 2 recharging, and then just swap them back and forth. That's a lot more dangerous because they're more likely to be able to mass a defense. I think we're just going to wait here. I don't want to play too fast and end up losing my fleets. This is all of the fleet we have at the moment, which is unfortunate, but that is all we ended up with. This was a rough start. I think we salvaged it pretty well, and it's clearly going to be a good start once we get rid of the Riftborn, because we're going to have control of basically this constellation very quickly. The Vultures are not going to be able to stop us once we take control of this constellation. The only issue we're going to have at that point is how we deal with controlling this system without getting too much expansion disapproval. Because some of these planets and systems are not particularly good, but they're what we needed at the time. Alright, we'll play a few more turns and then I'm probably going to end this video. This is Alright, so we've been compromised with some type of hack. I'm not sure. That seems like that's the hack that we were running. I don't know. I'm not sure what that was. Your system has been hacked. The effects may be visible or may require you to investigate. Yeah, it's hard to say. Food is like really low all of a sudden. But that could, a lot of those penalties could be from the mutinous. So I'm not too concerned about it. Super spuds. Not really something we have access to or need of. Getting close, but it's still going to take quite a few turns at that rate to get the manpower built back up, which kind of sucks. Food would be another good way to get manpower growing faster. Are there any places that can build food? Yes, we could get some food and industry from this, and then we could get some more science from that. And that's probably an okay use of our influence, just get some of these important buildings put out a little bit faster. Yeah. Not much to do this turn. More population has grown. A bunch of things have been completed. This system needs something to work on. Probably public-private partnerships. I'm not really sure what would be the most beneficial over here. I could build a patrol ship. Until we get this planet colonized, this building's not as useful. It's just not enough science for 10. It's just 10 science. With this colonized, it's 10, 20, 30 because of the temperate. So that actually makes it more reasonable to build that building. I think we'll build a patrol ship. That will give us some probes, and we can sort of scout around and maybe see if we can uncover another constellation to get our colony ships that are just sitting here doing nothing. Also here, I need to consider... I don't want to get this built if we don't need to. The problem is I really don't need any of these buildings. I mean, yeah, this is just really bad. Even with this planet, it's just not great. And the approval bonuses for these are pretty pointless right now. Eventually they'll be more valuable, but right now they're not very good. I don't really want to build more bolters. I got some time to think about it. I think I know what I'm going to do next turn. Alright, so now that we've unlocked all of this stuff, I should be able to build a capital ship for my hero, basically. We'll come back to that in a second. But before I do that, we're going to edit this design. Throw one engine on there, and then couple of these and some bullet weapons. This ship design will basically be for sieging enemy populations, defensive populations down. I wish I could rename it, but it doesn't look like it will let me. So we'll just go ahead and approve this design, and I'll just have to remember that my design for this is called the Colonizer. And then I can pay a little bit of dust, get him out, and get him moving. Take him 7 turns to get there. That's a long time, but we're going to need him down there eventually. And then I can make a couple of these so that we have a couple of ships that are good at helping siege down enemy defenses. This is especially important on a capital or any system that has a high population. And the reason for that is they can continually increase the amount of defenses they have by sacrificing population points. So if they have a large enough force to sort of survive for a while, they can prolong the engagement in a very, very long, drawn-out engagement, and eventually just overtake your forces by replenishing their troops through sacrificing their population. Oftentimes, you don't have the ability to do that unless you can fly your fleet back to a home system, refill them quickly with manpower from your pool, and then fly back in a timely fashion. That's the only way that you can really add more troops to the fight once the fight's started. And we just don't have the resources to do that because our manpower is completely depleted at the moment. We are getting a little bit more per turn because we got some food buildings made, and manpower is based off of food consumption. So the more food you have, the more manpower per turn you produce, which is kind of important. We might talk about that a little bit more in detail later on, but right this second, there's not much to say about it other than more food buildings makes the manpower bars fill up faster everywhere. Is there anything else I want to do right now? We're like plus 12. So we're 4 turns away, 5 turns away from filling this completely full. And then technology-wise, Leo needs a Savannah world unlocked. We also would like to get these worlds unlocked. Because once this building is completed, these worlds are actually worth 10 industry and 10 science apiece. So that's pretty good. So lava is one option, Savannah is one option. Good lord, this is going to take forever. I need to buy this out as soon as I get an opportunity to. Boreal. Yeah, that also unlocks that one. And then steps was the other one that we needed at some point. Okay, let's look at the tech tree real quick and figure out what we want to do here. I think getting a food building quickly is important. Also, if we're building a patrol ship, maybe getting better probes for that patrol ship would be good. So this is actually an option, and we need a steps world, so that's kind of a leading contender. I would build this, but we actually don't have any Hyperion sites yet, I don't think. We might have picked one up when we took over the last Riftborn planet. So maybe that actually is beneficial, but not critical. The lava planet does give us a very nice building. AI labor is really good once you have a large population. If you have hot or sterile planets, it's very, very good for large populations. Pretty mediocre when you don't have large populations, but still good. This technology is one I really, really like. Predictive logistics. Because I focus so much on colonizing planets within my systems, plus 20 industry per planet really makes a difference in getting the system to a point where it's actually building stuff at a reasonable clip. Trade companies can solve all of your problems. And commercial frameworks is one of the fastest ways to just snowball your games. The sooner you get it going, the faster that can happen. But I'm kind of leaning towards these technologies for now. We need to get a couple of these anyways, so this would be one that we really want to get for the probes, and then this would be the other one we really want to get for the travel between systems and also the curiosities being unlocked. That would give us the 3 we need to unlock the next tier, which grants us Hyperium engines and uncommon curiosities revealed. And then a whole bunch of stuff that's probably too expensive for us to worry about in the short term. But okay, so I think I've decided we're going to go ahead and grab machine bacteria. And then the last thing, we need to edit this patrol ship design. Actually, we don't need to edit this design as much as we need to edit the bolter design, because this is the ship that we're actually going to be fighting with. So I've got new weapons. Do any of these weapons give us enough of a boost? It's not quite there. What about swarm missiles? Are really bad. What if I go with these missiles? There we go. Okay. So let's go like with missiles and missiles and bullets. This gives us pretty good defense against missiles with the bullet weapons. Pretty good offensive capabilities. This will unlock our hero immediately if we can get this done. I don't need engines. I think... Is that what we have here? Yeah. So the shielding is still the same. And the manpower module can't be changed because we need the manpower for deployment. So yeah, I think this works. So if we apply this new design to our ships, and then I need 191 dust to make that happen. I think I want to make that happen immediately, so what do we sell? I got 14 blue cap mold. I could sell like 2 of them and have enough. And then this should give us our hero, if I'm not mistaken, on the next turn, because then we'll have a ship. Let's look at our quest just to make sure. 142. Build a ship with at least 142. We may have to build it. Upgrading a ship may not count, but we'll find out at the beginning of next turn. Is there anything else I want to do? We're going to get a lot of stuff completed here soon. That actually is going to get done instantly for some reason. The rollover, maybe? So if we get that completed instantly, then I guess we just go right into this one for the Savannah world and then the warp drives. I'm actually going to hold off on that, and I think I am going to grab the food, but I'm not sure if I want to grab this food building or this food building. This food building is actually really good for everywhere, so I'm going to grab that next. Even though we don't need it right away, I do need it in one of my systems for sure, and I'll explain that why a little bit later in the next video probably. But yeah, I think that's where I want to go. This should be really close to being done now. Yep, now we're up to 15 per turn. So yeah, 3 turns and that'll be completed, and they'll be ready to fight. Election coming up. Maybe we'll play through to turn 40. This will be completed in 1 turn. Now we can edit this ship design. We'll put the engines there. We'll get titanium probes. If we wanted to make a ship, we can't really do 2 of those. We could put better weapons on this ship though. Actually, we could do the same thing that we're doing on the other one. So if for some reason, well, no, because we're not building it. I'm actually retrofitting it. I mean, I guess it makes sense to just outfit it however. Okay. The colonizer we could also edit. And we could give it something like pinch beams instead of a gun. Pinch beams gives it reasonable damage at all ranges, where guns really only give it good damage at short range, and this is a vessel that basically wants to deal its damage up front. The other thing we could throw on it are missiles. Missiles really good long range damage, but they're easy to counter. These are less easy to counter. I'll go ahead and apply that. That's probably fine. Get our ships moving. Okay. These guys are almost ready to go. And I did not get my heroes, so that's unfortunate. Which means that this ship is not going to trigger the event either. And it means I need to build another ship. So then the question is, do I want to build another patrol ship? I think I do. We'll just throw a patrol ship in the queue then. And then I have no reason to really build this colonizer anymore. So I could... we'll cancel it. It looks like there's a very, very tiny amount that's been done on it. But what I really need to get are these food buildings. And this one in particular I really want to get. This one benefits from being a system that has been upgraded in system levels, and our capital is always going to be one of the first ones we do that for. But the other thing that it does is it provides a reasonably good amount of food to systems like this that don't have lots of food. So because these hot worlds have really low amounts of food, it's really hard to grow population on this system without a building that helps solve that. These 2 buildings will definitely solve that issue and will allow us to fill all these planets with population. And then eventually, if we start to overflow, we could use the spaceport to send people from this system to the other ones. And so this is a really important building, I think, a very underrated building. It's also one of the cheapest unique improvements that you can build. And there are a couple of quests that ask you to build unique improvements. And so this is one way that you can fast track that, is get this one first because it's so cheap and easy. And useful in most capital systems, because you have 4 planets. So that's why I wanted that one. But because of that, our research is already done. And I think I want to grab this next because I do want to unlock the spin projects. And also, this building just reduces the wait time for heroes to unlock. So we'll get heroes a little bit faster. The sooner you get that building down, the better. It's also a unique building. Just out of curiosity, be the first to explore 50% of the galaxy. Be the first to have 3 unique star system improvements. So actually, that would help us get to that faster if we build that next. We're in 2nd place there, though, so I'm not sure if we'll make it in time. It's possible. How many turns till our hack finishes? Hostile trace detected. So they're tracing us. We just arrived. It's showing that the trace will finish in 5 turns. Alright, so 5 turns is a long time. But it's probably long enough for us to get some more strategic resources. This isn't... Neither one of these are bad. Unless we're buying out a lot of system developments, this doesn't really benefit us that much. This will give us much more value in the long run. Plus, the industrialist political ideology is favorable for us. We now have some things that we can get done here. So let's get the food building. Let's get that done. And I can create this ship. And then I need some dust in order to afford the retrofit. How do I want to go about getting that? Probably sell some more stuff, I guess. We could sell some more blue cat mold, because that's really all I have. I guess I do have a fair amount of titanium. How much do I get for selling titanium? That's probably good. Okay. And now we can basically shoot out probes every turn until we uncover some good stuff. There's really no reason for me to move this ship right away. I guess we could utilize it in our fleet. We have up to 12 command points, so I guess we could send him over that way. This patrol ship will give us our hero if I buy it out, or I wait 2 turns. I'm gonna buy it out. We're not really using our influence or anything else right now, and I really want our hero, and that's how we'll probably wrap up the video. Alright, so now we have Hadrelenko. One of the reasons I didn't move this from this location is because I wanted to add Hadre to that fleet. And then with Hadre, we can look at his flagship and get it kitted out. First things first, let's get all this cool off. Let's see what I'm doing here. So this is a very offensive-minded ship. It has 4 weapon slots, but only 2 support slots, which makes it a little tricky. We can put an engine on him, and then as far as his secondary support slot, you might think that putting the repair module on him would be worthwhile, but I don't really find that all that valuable. What I do find fairly valuable is using probes on my hero. That can actually play really, really well. The cloaker can also be very helpful because it cloaks your entire fleet, but it's not going to be too beneficial for us right now. We're not trying to sneak around anybody at the moment. So what I think I'm probably going to do is put titanium probes on him, which is going to give him probes like basically every other turn. So he's going to be able to scout for us and scout lanes for enemy ships coming towards us, which is really important to do. And then weapon-wise, we could sort of just give him a mishmash of everything, which is sometimes really effective. Or we could specialize in a single type of weapon. But I think I'm going to go like a little bit of everything. So we're going to give him some missiles, some guns, some pincher beams, and actually these pincher beams are better than the lasers, so we'll go ahead and go with 2 of those. So he's got a little bit of everything going on. And then for defensive modules, we'll just go 1 of each. And that's going to be 300 dust, which I can do, but now I have to go back out here and sell a bunch of stuff again. So I need 300 dust. That should be enough. We'll do the missiles. We'll do the guns. And then 2 sets of pinch beams. And hull plating and shield. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Win 5 battles. We want to definitely go down the Sheridan. This is interesting for more industry, and this is interesting for more science, but the Galdachi fire lasers are actually really, really good lasers, and they have a 20% crit chance, which is really high for a laser weapon at this point in the game, which makes these incredibly dangerous weapons. This is even more dangerous if you took the 10% bonus damage for your first quest, which we didn't, and then you add any bonus damage that your heroes can apply. So these weapons get really scary and make winning particularly easy. Also, we have 4 points, so we can get extra health on fleet, extra shield absorption on fleet, or extra vision and experience per turn on fleet. I'm going to go with the experience so that our fleet levels up and our ships get more powerful. Also, by default, he has extra siege damage, which is nice. And ship cost design, if you want to use him in a capital city. Okay, do we have our full capacity now on this fleet? We are... Actually, we get more total now than we used to. Interesting. So we moved up to 396 instead of 360. Got an extra 36, it looks like. And then he gained another level. We'll put that in that. Modernization completed. Spin projects completed. And technology needs to be one of these. We're going to go with the food technology, and we're going to skip the tier 1 military ships and go straight to tier 2. Also, this ship can now be brought out, and we're going to have a couple probes here that we can start sending off. We'll just throw them out that way for now. And this is basically preparing us to do this siege battle here. So now that our hero's on there, this is all going to be much more effective. We could go ahead and send him over here. And we can see they have no military fleet here at all. They have no fleet whatsoever at the moment. I'm actually going to stop this ship here, and we'll throw some more probes out each time we stop because they recharge so fast. And I don't think there's anything else I want to get done this turn. We do want to look at maybe getting our approval back up. The Call a Spaceman event should be ending pretty soon, which will help. Running Toys for Boys is barely getting us to 60 at the moment, which kind of sucks, but at least we're at 60. It would be really bad if we were lower than that. This ship can't do anything, so we'll just put him to sleep for a turn. And we're almost 2 hours into this video, so yeah, I think this is a good place to go ahead and stop. So I hope you're enjoying this series. I'll play this one again sometime this week. I'm off for the next few days, so I should have plenty of time to do that. But yeah, this has been a fun game so far, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly we can run through the Riftborn, and then what kind of a fight the Vultures might put up with us. But once we get this entire constellation colonized, we can then transition into getting our finances in order by building some really long trade routes. And then once we have those trade routes, that can basically finance our wars outside of the system with really, really big, massive, powerful fleets. Maybe we'll try to use the tugboat strategy that I'm familiar with. I haven't pulled that one off in a while, so I'm not sure if the mechanics for it still work. But there's an interesting mechanic where you build a ship that basically works as a tugboat and helps move all of your fleets around the system very, very quickly. So we'll see if I can find a way to make that happen, but that's for a future video. So that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is TheNosePlays, and we'll catch you next time.